There is a kind of person who moves through the world like a soft shadow.
Calm, capable, reliable in a way others rarely question. They are the ones people turn to when life grows heavy, the ones who hold the emotional weight of rooms without announcing it, the ones who say they're fine even when the truth trembles beneath the surface. And if you look closely, you'll notice a subtle ache in them, a quiet pain that never erupts, a hurt that takes no shape yet lives in every part of them. This is the story of those who carry everyone's burden,
Not because they want to.
but because somewhere along the way, they learned it was the only way to survive. It begins slowly.
A child who becomes the peacekeeper.
A friend who becomes the listener. A partner who becomes the emotional anchor. Their identity forms around the needs of others long before they understand what is happening.
People describe them as strong.
Empathetic, mature for their age, someone you can always count on. But the world rarely asks who they count on. They grow up learning to swallow their own storms, to stay composed as waves crash inside them. Their quietness is mistaken for stability, their reliability for resilience. And with every new burden they accept, something in them grows heavier, yet they keep going, because this is all they know. The origins of this pattern are rarely dramatic. They are often ordinary. A household where emotions were unpredictable. A parent who needed more than they could give.
A sibling who required protection.
A social environment where harmony depended on their self-control. They learned early that their feelings were secondary, that the safest way to exist was to become useful, invisible, manageable.
So they became the emotional sponge.
Absorbing the tension around them, reading the room before they entered it, adjusting their tone, their posture, their presence. Anything to keep the peace. Their worth became tied to what they could carry.
And because no one saw how heavy it was, no one thought to help them set it down.
Psychology calls this pattern parentification, hyper-responsibility, or empathic overextension. But beyond the terminology is a deeper truth.
The nervous system adapts to chronic emotional demand. When a child consistently feels responsible for the well-being of others, the brain wires itself for vigilance.
The amygdala becomes sensitive to conflict. The prefrontal cortex learns to anticipate needs before they are expressed.
Cortisol rises not from danger but from expectation.
Over time, caregiving becomes automatic. Their empathy grows sharper.
Their intuition becomes almost psychic.
It is a survival strategy disguised as virtue. But the body keeps the score. Chronic self-neglect shows up as mental fatigue.
The inability to relax. The quiet fear of disappointing others. The sense that rest must be earned.
These individuals may appear calm, but inside, their mind never stops scanning, holding, supporting, containing. They are wired to carry what does not belong to them.
Inside them is a conflict few ever see.
There is the part that wants to continue being dependable.
The part that finds meaning in being the strong one.
The part that fears losing connection if they stop giving.
And then there is the buried part.
The one that aches, the one that whispers.
I am tired.
But exhaustion feels like betrayal. Saying no feels like abandonment. Asking for help feels foreign, almost dangerous. So they resist their own needs.
They downplay their own struggles.
They convince themselves that others have it worse, that they can handle it, that they always have,
Even when their body shakes from the weight.
Even when their dreams feel distant.
even when their smile grows thin at the edges. They continue carrying.
Because letting go feels like letting someone down.
But something eventually shifts. It may be a moment of deep loneliness, realizing that despite all they give, people rarely notice their silence. Or an emotional collapse, quiet and internal, where holding everything becomes impossible. Or perhaps a simple, honest question from someone who finally sees them. Are you okay? Truly? and for a fleeting second they feel the urge to tell the truth, to let something slip out,
To admit that the weight is not light.
to reveal that their strength has limits. This realization is not dramatic,
It is soft.
a gentle awareness that being strong has cost them more than anyone knows. They begin to recognize that carrying everything is not the same as being loved, that being dependable is not the same as being understood, that supporting others has never protected them from their own hunger for connection.
They realize that they have built a life around everyone else's needs.
While quietly abandoning their own. And this truth, though painful, breaks something open. Healing for them does not arrive as sudden freedom. It arrives slowly, like morning light through heavy curtains.
It begins with noticing.
Noticing when they apologize for things that are not their fault. Noticing the tension in their shoulders when someone hints at needing help. Noticing the way they hold their breath when they say the word no. It comes from understanding that boundaries are not walls, but gentle lines that protect the self that has long been ignored. It comes from allowing silence, not as a void to fill, but as space to rest. Space where they do not have to manage anyone else's emotions. Space where their own voice can finally be heard. Healing is not about withdrawing from the world. It is about letting themselves be human within it. Letting themselves be supported sometimes, letting themselves be sad without guilt,
Letting themselves matter in the same way others do.
They learn to trust that those who truly care will not vanish when they stop overgiving. They learn that vulnerability does not make them a burden.
They learn that their worth is not measured by the weight they can carry. And slowly,
Steadily, they grow lighter, not because life gives them less to hold, but because they stop picking up what is not theirs.
there will always be people who carry more than others realize.
People who move through life with quiet bravery, holding hearts that were never taught to rest. But their softness is not weakness.
Their empathy is not obligation.
Their strength is not meant to be endless. There is a deeper truth waiting for those who have lived this way.
You were never meant to carry everyone's burden.
Only your own. And even that becomes lighter when shared.
Somewhere within you is a version of yourself that remembers this.
A self that trusts tenderness. A self that no longer confuses love with sacrifice. A self that does not need to earn their right to breathe. May that self step forward, slowly, gently, without rush.
For the quiet pain you carry is not a testament to your strength,
but a reminder that you, too, deserve a place to rest.
a life where your hands are not always full.
A heart that belongs not to the world, but to you. And in that quiet, the burdens finally soften.